Xin chào everybody, welcome back. You're watching Vietnam Steve in Exile, and I've got a good one for you today. Finally made it down under, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the journey, some of the highs and lows of moving from one country to another with about 13 or 14 suitcases and transiting through domestic and international terminals, and then finally arriving here in Australia. So it was a long trip, takes about 18 hours door to door, and we left from Ha Long, went to Hanoi, and then from Hanoi to Ho Chi Minh City, and then from Ho Chi Minh City to Brisbane. So that flight within Vietnam was a domestic flight, which means we've got to change airports midway through the journey, and suffice to say, never going to do it again. So come with me. I'm at a triathlon today, so I thought I'd walk around here and wax lyrical about the recent trip down under and some of the exciting things we saw and some of the things that might be pitfalls that you want to look out for yourself. So before we get into it, just some of the scenery here in Brisbane. My son's in a sprint triathlon, which is going to take him about an hour and a quarter down here. So he's got a 400 metre swim, which he's a very fast swimmer, followed by a, don't know how far it is on the bike, but it's a couple of laps around the track, and then a 4 kilometre run. So he thinks it'll take him an hour and a quarter, and he'll be heading out soon. So essentially the course is get in here at that white buoy in the foreground, swim up to the red marker, cross to the other red marker, and back again. And he's heading off in about 15 or 20 minutes, but the preceding group will be jumping in there anytime soon. So the flight left Hanoi at 5:30 a.m. So you've probably got to be at the airport at 3:30, particularly when you've got 13 or 14 bags, and I will count them for you in a minute. So that means we had to leave Ha Long at about 1 a.m. It's 2 hours, 20 minutes to Hanoi. Oh, my son's waving to me out there in the water. So he's having a warm-up before his 400 metres. He normally swims about 4 kilometres a day, and so he's worried the 400 metres is going to not be long enough to get into his stroke. So he's going to have a bit of a practice down here for 10 minutes before his race actually starts. So good luck to him. So we left at 1 a.m. from Ha Long Bay in a taxi with 13 bags. Now let me count them up. We had 4 people and they had 2 suitcases each, so that's a quick 8. And then the other 3 also had hand baggage, so that's 9, 10, 11. And then the other 3 also had a backpack or a woman's handbag, so that's 12, 13, 14. And of course I just had my trusty backpack, so that's 15. So we had 15 bags, which proved to be problematic in the trip because moving 15 bags around for 4 people is a slow process. Anyway, uneventful, got in the taxi, went to Hanoi Airport and got there with good time, checked in, and then went and waited at the gate. If you've ever left Hanoi domestic, you'll know that they invariably change the gate as you're sitting there waiting, and it's a mad scurry from one end of the airport to the other. So that's what happened again. We had to pick up our hand baggage that we're carrying with us and get from one side of the airport to the other, because there was a late gate change. Got on the plane, had an uneventful flight into Ho Chi Minh City, and arrived at Ho Chi Minh City at 7:35, which was the arrival time. Got there spot on time, and then got to the gate. I got to the baggage pickup at about 7:50, so 15 minutes after arrival. Arriving in Ho Chi Minh City is interesting because you get on a little bus that takes you to the terminal. So of course you've got to wait for the bus to get organised and travel at 20 kilometres an hour to the terminal. So got on the bus, got to the baggage collection at 7:50, and they said your bags will be coming at 8:20. So that's 55 minutes after the plane landed. So we waited and waited and waited, and then the bags finally got to the turnstile. But this is putting pressure on the 2.5 hour transition that we actually had.
Here he goes. Yeah. Go, Nathan. Let's go.
So the first baggage deliverer turns up at where our baggage has to be offloaded onto the roundabout thing, and he pulls the pin out from behind and just lets the little caboose stop there. But he's parked it against a pillar. He's parked it too close to the edge, so essentially the guy's unloading the caboose. It's like a train carriage. It's a covered-in thing. Can't get the bags out. So they've got to wait for someone with brains to come and move that caboose away from the curb a bit so they can open the door and get the bags out. That took a bit of time. Needless to say, none of our 13 or 14 bags were in that first caboose. So then we wait for the second caboose. Well, this guy's come with, these guys must have been on drugs or something. You can't be that spastic at 8 o'clock in the morning. He's come with two cabooses, and as he's pulling in close to the curb, but not so close that you can't open the door, he's hit the pillar. Bang! So then there's a stop while somebody comes and analyses the damage and whether we're going to actually be able to still have an airport. So anyway, eventually at about 10 to 9, we got our baggage, and that's put pressure on because our plane's leaving at 10:40, boarding at 10. So we had to get all those bags onto some trolleys, wheel them up the street, which is only a couple of 100 metres, to the international airport, and then check in again through security, etc. I hope you're liking Vietnam Steve in Exile. I've only just got here, and you're going to have quite a lot of Vietnam Steve in Exile now, because I'm not sure when I'm getting back to Vietnam. But hopefully I can show you some of the sights and sounds of Brisbane. And what better to kick it off today at a place called Raby Bay, which is on the east of Brisbane, on the bay of course. It's a bit of a marina area, but also got some nice flowers in the background here. How about those? Fantastic. All right.
And we enter a clock from the Richard Cyclone. 55-59,
Now, where were we up to? Ha Long to Hanoi, Hanoi to Ho Chi Minh City. We're walking up the street from Ho Chi Minh City to the international airport. Well, that's fine. We had 3 wheelie things, and we had 13 bags or so on the wheelie things. And the issue was when we got to Ho Chi Minh Airport International, we're on the ground level and we've got to get up to level 1. So there's one lift that took 4 or 5 minutes per go, and would only take 2 trolleys at a time. So it was problematic in that someone was ahead of us. We had to wait for them about 15 minutes, and then ourselves took 15 minutes. So we burnt 30 minutes going up an elevator. And then when we got to check in, it was a long queue. So long that it was out the door of the airport. And that was going to take an hour to check in. So it was really disastrous. We only just made it to check in before they closed the check-in. And then we had to get through security and immigration, which is always a challenge when they have I think they have an IT system that doesn't work. I think that's the problem. It can't be the people. The people would be faster than that. But yeah, getting through security takes a long time. A lot of people pushing and shoving. No Western manners, of course, in Ho Chi Minh City Airport. It's Chinese manners, Asian manners. And so you've just got to push and shove to get through. We ended up, my wife spoke to a security policeman, and he put us through the fast lane. But apart from that, we probably would have missed the flight. So a funny thing happened on the way to Australia. I won't mention getting through security, that's just the usual clusterfuck. But when we went through this is an interesting story. When we went through the immigration exit, that takes a bit of time. We've got 4 people to get exited from the country. And then you go, then you go to the security area. So we hadn't got through security, I tell a lie. I go through okay, my wife goes through okay, the eldest daughter goes through okay, but the youngest daughter, beep, 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 beep. What happens here is something's been found in your bag that you're not supposed to have on the plane. But of course we don't know which bag it is at all. We've got 13 bags and they've been randomly checked in against each of us. So she's 13, gets hauled off by security, and my wife manages to go back from where we are, grab hold of her and say, well, that's my daughter, she's not going alone. Long story short, we get back to, they get back to the bags, and we had an electric fly swat. So it's like a tennis racket, but it's electric for killing mosquitoes and things, and that wasn't allowed. Now, it was utter bullshit because they said it has a battery in it. Now, it doesn't have a battery in it because I took the battery out. So they just didn't know. Anyway, they took that and got a free electric fly swat, minus the battery. I've got the battery here and now. So I don't know how good their security scanning systems are, because they scanned something that didn't have a battery and said it's got a battery in it, which is difficult to reconcile. But needless to say, security scanning, probably not very good. The difficulty occurred when they had to come back through the checkpoint, because my wife had passed her passport to the child she was coming through with, and also her phone. So when she came back, she had no passport and no phone. They want to see your passport to get through this checkpoint. And you didn't have a passport, they want to see your ticket. Didn't have a ticket either. I'm standing on the other side of the gate. Very little help from anybody there, but we got it done. So it's exciting times when you're travelling with 4 people and 13 bags, and never going to do that domestic change in Ho Chi Minh City again. The country's not set up for that. The airline's not set up for that. The people that work there haven't been skilled in facilitating that, and so it's not something that Vietnam does. Domestic transfer from domestic to international with a tight time frame just can't be done. All right, I'm going to pause there. I've got to duck in the shop and get myself some sustenance here, and then we'll get on with the journey, which is the main game, Ho Chi Minh to Down Under. So I have to say the trip down on Vietjet was pretty good. We all sat together, had a nice meal, in quotes, and it's about 8 hours uneventful. Did leave an hour late, so the whole delay situation at Ho Chi Minh Airport meant we left an hour late, but they seem to make up the time, and we got in pretty much on time. So here we are today, which is fantastic, and we won't be doing that trip again because the domestic, first of all, it's a very early start in the morning. 5:30 from Hanoi is okay, but when you've got to be there 2 hours early and you have a 2 hour, 20-minute taxi ride beforehand, it does mean you don't get any sleep the night before. So we won't be doing that again. But look, saved a few bucks doing that. If we do it again, we'll probably overnight in Ho Chi Minh City and split the trip. In effect, what happened was by the time we boarded the plane for Australia in Ho Chi Minh City, we were 8 hours into our journey and halfway through our trip. So if we have an overnight in Ho Chi Minh, catch up with some friends, eat some good food, and then we just have an 8-hour trip on a normal day. Now, Vietnam Steve in Exile is going to be bringing you some of the funny stuff I see in Australia compared to the funny stuff I see in Vietnam. And so if you've got anything that you think might be useful for me to talk on, please put it in the comments. I'd love to see. I'm going to try and get a VARD out every week here down under and just let you know some of the things that are actually happening. I've already got 4, 5 or 6 things in my mind for, hey, this is something strange I see in Australia. Have you ever thought this would be common sense? And is this really Western advanced thinking? Or is this just stupidity? So I've seen plenty of those. And of course, I will be getting back to Vietnam from time to time, so you'll have some Vietnam Steve, not in exile, in the future. I appreciate you sticking with me on this one, sticking with me on the journey. Of course, tune into the ABC of expat life. I'm probably going to run that for another couple of weeks, and I'm probably going to pause that for another couple of weeks and get back into it in a month or so. It doesn't resonate too much with the viewers, but it is something I like to do. And needless to say, I've got them all mapped out through to A to Z. I've just got to record them and put my spin on it. All right, please stay frosty. Let me know what you're doing in your locale, and I'll see you in the next one.
Let's go, Sol.
Lie flat.
You can do it.